Welcome everybody to an edition of MLW 2006 as we're heading towards our first big show on Univision. It's going to be MLW Battle Riot, but before I get to that, I just want to go over, well first, sorry for being out for the past couple of weeks as far as the series goes. Sometimes stuff happens. Basically, just timing happened that I could only get 4 videos out, and the timing was that by the time taking to this one, I was sort of just burned out a little bit. Again, going to continue the series, and just as a quick plug again, got my Patreon. If anybody wants to sign up for that, you can sign up for $1 just to get a quick thanks, in your name in the description. Up to five. There's other things where you can get copies of this database. You can get, put your own personal character in the series. Be part. Give me, choose booking ideas. Get early access to videos, and so on and so forth. But, that's it. Follow the link in the description. But, that's it for the quick sell job on that. But let's get to the actual show. So we're 2 weeks out from Battle Riot, our first big show on Univision, and we start out as we're in front of an Element Nightlife, which I guess is some sort of nightclub in Columbia, South Carolina, in front of about 200 people probably, because again, trying to get that overness in the Mid-Atlantic up. As the show opens, Matt Sydal comes out with Val. As Sabrina makes some joke about being in a small dirty club like this gives him memories of his early career. As Sydal puts over the fact that tonight's pick your poison, and he already knows who he's going to face. Nigel McGuinness later on in tonight's main event. But, as far as he's concerned, he doesn't care who he fights, because and he points to Val, me and my lovely love of my life, Val, we're ready for anybody in that ring. So come out, whoever Nigel's convinced to get an ass kicking and face the future of this business, Matt Sydal. 49, decent promo. The ratings on this is probably going to be a little bit lower than normal just because we're in the Mid-Atlantic as opposed to Southeast or the Tri-State, but, gotta get this overness up, and so, hopefully this will help matters. Big pop as Sydal's opponent is Junior Fatu. Crowd pops for that. Sydal looks a little bit scared, but, he's ready for the match that's to come. And our opening contest, which is to 62, because these guys are really good, and about had great heat and good wrestling, Matt Sydal defeats Junior Fatu in 9:36 by pinfall. Says with the Dragon Rana. I'm going to have to go and actually find another finisher for Sydal, just because him hitting Dragon Ranas all the time is just not going to happen week to week. But again, back and forth match. Fatu, it gets to be the, big baby face throwing Sydal around. Sydal eventually, cheats and does his high flying to make a comeback. Val, near the end of the match, basically, I imagine Val, puts Fatu's foot on the ropes after he hits a big Samoan drop or a big power slam. He gets upset. That allows Sydal to come from behind, hit him, with some sort of cutter from behind, go up top, hit a shooting star press or a twisting splash, and get the 1-2-3 victory over Fatu to gain the victory. I just said victory twice in a row, didn't I? And what can you do? Anyway, like I said, Sydal gets a 62, Fatu gets a 51. Fatu is tiring towards the end because he's old and, well, Rikishi in 2006. But still, solid win for Sydal. And he celebrates afterwards to a 48 as the crowd boos, as the announcers put over, that Matt Sydal versus Nigel McGuinness for the number 1 contendership and Loki versus Takeshi Morishima for the MLW World Champion are going to be 2 of the big matches that are part of the Battle Riot, along with the Battle Riot itself, live on Univision. Then we go forward to a quick backstage promo where JJ Dillon is setting aside 2 members of the Extreme Horsemen, as it's officially announced that both Simon Diamond and Justin Credible will be in the Battle Riot, and they'll be carrying the torch of the Extreme Horsemen to make sure nobody gets in the Extreme Horsemen's way. Decent promo, just a quick little thing. This gets a 45, just a quick backstage promo to, officially announce them into the Battle Riot. Then we have a tag match as in a poor match, which is unfortunate. The Havana Pitbulls defeat Astro Boy 2 and Volador in 8:34 when Rocky Romero pins Astro Boy 2 with the Cuban Missile Crisis. This gets a 43, and it's it's a decent back and forth match. Astro Boy and Volador fly around, but Pitbulls are looking a little more dangerous as Homicide is at ringside, and they just tear apart. Eventually, Astro Boy 2, who's stuck on the heel side of the ring, and eventually Romero hits his big finisher 1-2-3. You just completely clean victory for the heels. As Volador Jr. gets a 44, Astro Boy gets a 36, Ricky Reyes gets a 39, and Rocky Romero gets a 36. So decent win for the Havana Pitbulls. And after they basically kick Astro and Volador to the outside, don't worry, they're not going to be complete jobbers. Just sort of that's their spot for tonight. Homicide enters the ring, and he takes the mic, and he says, people have been saying, outside you're talking about your big badass fighter, but so now you got backup. But you have to realize, this is how you do it in the streets. Nothing's fair in the streets. So Ezekiel, you want to be a bitch and complain about that? Fine, do that. But what happens in the streets is, by any means necessary, you take that victory. You should know that, Ezekiel. And in the Battle Riot, I'll show you where you actually belong. Sure as hell ain't on my streets. And he walks away with Havana Pitbulls, as this gets 65 for a decent promo continuing that Homicide Ezekiel feud, as they're both going to be part of the Battle Riot. This gets a 65, like I said. And then we come back with a quick promo, which gets a 17, because Jesus Christ, he's not over. Teneri's basically announced he'll be part of the Battle Riot, and he's part of the future of professional wrestling, and he'll show just how good he is in the ring at the Battle Riot. So 17, because, again, not that over, especially probably in the Mid-Atlantic, so probably not my best decision, but it's a quick two-minute segment, so, nothing you need to worry about too much. Then we go forward to our opening, first ever women's match here in MLW. I mean, probably they had something like 2000, I'm just blanking on, but first one in a long time, as it about had decent wrestling, but non-existent crowd heat. Nattie Neidhart defeats Talia Madison in 453 by submission with a sharpshooter. And to remind people what happened here is Talia Madison is, of course, featured in Attractions. New manager, Nattie Neidhart, is, of course, with Stampede Bulldogs, and the match was set up that if Nattie got the win, the Stampede Bulldogs will get the title shot. So it's official. One of the other big matches as part of Battle Riot, which I have not renamed or reloaded yet, is going to be a tag team title match. It's going to be Stampede Bulldogs against featured attraction for the Global Crown Tag Team Champions. And yeah, match overall gets a 34. Nattie gets a 41. Talia gets a 47. Yeah, I mean, it is what it was. Like, these guys aren't over yet, but, if I want to build a little women's division, which I am going to do solely, you need to have matches like this. And post-match, Nattie and Stampede Bulldogs celebrate to 35 as the crowd pops. Then we go backstage with sort of probably not the greatest segment in the world, as basically Akira Tozawa is backstage. He run the Delirious enters the locker room, and basically in a little bit of a comedic segment / a serious segment, Daisy Hayes makes the pitch to Tozawa that if he wants another shot at junior heavyweight title, he gets it. So Tozawa's really happy, but Daisy hasn't. But if you win, you get the junior heavyweight title, and everybody's happy next week on Fusion. But if Delirious wins, not only is he a champion, he gets your shot in Battle Riot. Tozawa waits a moment, then nods, and then pushes Delirious, and then points out his title that's on his shoulder, and then walks away. As announcers put over, it's a big match. Rippy for Battle Riot, as it's Tozawa versus Delirious for not only junior heavyweight title, but Tozawa's spot in the Battle Riot, as this gets a 34. Then we go backstage to Nigel McGuinness room, which gets a 57, so not bad. He says, he doesn't bloody care who Sydal has waiting for him, because he's one of the best wrestlers on this planet for a reason, because he'll take any challenge, he'll take out anybody, because he can tie up anybody, he can take down anybody, he can suplex anybody, because he's Nigel Bloody McGuinness. 57, decent promo, as we move forward in the show. As ECMO kills Chad Collier on 318 by pinfall Samoan drop, this gets a 44. Basically, the last half of the match is basically ECMO playing with his food as he tosses around Collier before finally ending a Samoan drop. As you also just put over, ECMO will be one of the most dangerous men in the Battle Riot. As ECMO gets a 61, Chad Collier gets a 25, because this was just a 3-minute squash. But of course, ECMO just continues to kill Collier, and we get our sort of mini Battle Royal spot for the week. At first, Sanjay Dutt tries to make the save, but ECMO throws him out. Then Sabu comes down and jumps off the chair and gets a little bit of offense in, but eventually ECMO tosses him out. Then, TJ Wilson and Volador Jr. both come in, and basically after all four men, basically all go after ECMO, and they eventually, toss him through the second rope, and everybody hits dives on ECMO before MLW officials break things apart. As the announcers put over, this will be part of the chaos that is the Battle Riot. As this gets a 43. So fun stuff. Then we have our our first little intro segment, as we go to basically ranch or something, as we get the debut of the last Rebel, Trevor Rhodes, that he puts over, that he's been wrestling in Japan for the past couple of years after learning, after being learning from the legendary Harley Race. And he's here because he's part of a dying breed of professional wrestling, men who actually want to brawl and fight. He says, I don't know any fancy moves. I don't know how to fly. I just know how to punch, kick, and make men bleed. Because I'm the last Rebel. And at the Battle Riot, I'm going to make my debut. So Rhodes gets Last Rebel as a gimmick, and it's running of great. Very marketable gimmick. Okay. Penalties for the angles and comedy bouts, which he won't be doing. So fun stuff. And then Nigel's waiting in the ring, and then Verno's music hits as the crowd pops. As of course, Verno's one of our probably top heels here, as he comes out, and it's going to be a big main event of Nigel McGuinness versus Verno. And then it's actually time to have that match. So here we go. As in a superb match, which gets a 63. So not quite as good as the last match I had, which I think was a low 70s, in part because Verno's actually has chronic shoulder pain, unfortunately, and because this was only 15 minutes. And I also think I had to do storytelling. So, story of the match is basically, Nigel versus Verno. Verno is the heel luchador, so he, does some cheating, some nasty, takedowns and submission holds of his own, but Nigel fights out. Nigel does his, British style wrestling. And, eventually looks like, he has the advantage, but Verno comes back, and eventually Verno hits the sort of a Verno driver out of nowhere, but Nigel gets his foot on the ropes. Verno slowly gets, goes for another one, but Nigel slips out, and eventually Nigel hits the bouncing lariat to get the big pinfall victory over Verno. As this gets a 63, Nigel gets a 62, Verno gets a 58. Again, probably a little lower because we're in the Mid-Atlantic, not in the Tri-State or the Northeast, and also because Verno's injured. And then, as the crowd is cheering, of course, Matt Sydal comes out and attacks Nigel from behind, because of course he does. He attacks Nigel from behind, hits him with a cutter, and just kicks him down, and says, he's sort of yelling to Nigel, at Battle Riot, I'm going to show you where you belong. As the show ends, as the announcers put over, the big matches that are going to be part of the show. And overall, let's see how we do here. As it looks like we have a 58. So a really good show considering we're in the Mid-Atlantic and everything else. So I'll be back in just a second with the second half of the taping, as it's the last show before Battle Riot, and then that'll be it. So I'll be back in just a second with that. Alright, it's now time for the second half of the taping, as like I said, we got 195 people in the Element Nightlife in South Carolina for our final show of the go-home show for Battle Riot. As the entries put over, we have an 8-man Battle Riot preview tonight in the main event, involving men like ECMO, Chris Hero, Roderick Strong, Sabu, and more, as this gets a 47, and then we go to our ring for our opening match for the Junior Heavyweight title. The match gets a 46, which is about where I thought it would be. In a decent match, Delirious defeats Akira Tozawa in 11:31 by pinfall with a panic attack. Delirious makes defense number 4 of his MLW World Junior Heavyweight title, and he also gets Akira Tozawa's spot in the Battle Riot. Story of the match is basically, Tozawa's good. He's a high flyer, but he's young. He's a little self-assured. Delirious looks and acts crazy, but he's a talented wrestler. Under all that wackiness, and he's got DZH sort of pointing him the right ways. And at the end, Delirious is just a little better. Tozawa goes for goes for a big move off the top rope. Delirious is ready for him, and a couple minutes later, it's time for the panic attack. 1, 2, 3, and Delirious gets the big victory. As this match gets a 46, Delirious gets a 48, Tozawa gets a 41. As I think these guys both are over at the Mid-Atlantic compared to the Tri-State or the Southeast, and Delirious gets the big, a successful defense here to open up Fusion. And Delirious celebrates while Tozawa's upset on the outside, as that gets a 46. And officially, Delirious is in the match, and Akira Tozawa is not. So that's unfortunate for him, but he'll figure out another way to victory here in Major League Wrestling. Then we go backstage, where Melina Perez is backstage with her charges to Maximos, and she tells him that she has a huge match for Battle Riot for them if they agree to it. Now, she's not allowed to announce who they'll be facing, but it's a tough team, and if they get a big victory over them in front of the Univision audience live for a super event like this, then there's no thing stopping them from finally getting what they deserve. Joel and Jose Maxo say, look at each other and like, fine, we'll fight anybody. We're competitors. Ling smiles and says, that's just what I wanted to hear. And then she, walks off to make the match. So it's going to be the Maximos versus a mystery opponent, mystery team at Battle Riot, as this gets a 31. Then we have another Trevor Rhodes video where he basically, puts over the fact, again, I was trained by Harley Race, one of the toughest wrestlers ever. So if you think I'm going to be scared of some people who think they're from the streets, or some men in masks, or some crazy Samoan, or a bunch of wrestlers who think they're going to take me down to throw a whole bunch of harm knocks I've been scared of, no, because I'm a fighter. I'm the last rebel, and I'm going to walk out of Battle Riot the surprise victory. And, who knows after that? I just might become World Heavyweight Champion quicker than you think. 34, decent little promo, continue to put over Rhodes. As they then come back to the ring, as unfortunately these two didn't click, but still gets a 33. As in about that, a decent reaction from the crowd, but terrible wrestling. Ezekiel defeats Incognito in 6:57 by pinfall with the drive-by kick. So, decent little match, decent little semi-squash for Ezekiel / MVP. Incognito, gets to do some little high spots, but in the end, Ezekiel's getting the push here, and he's a lot more over, and he's a lot better, and he gets the big win. Ezekiel gets a 36, Incognito gets a 24. Probably most of that is because they didn't click, but still a strong win for Ezekiel. As then, he takes the mic and says, here's the reality. Almost like he keeps on talking how he's from the streets. Well, I don't give a damn about the streets. You see, because where I come from, you know what we think about people who talk about the streets all the time? We know they're bitch made once they get into the cell. The same 6 foot by 6 foot cell I was in for years. Now, I came out of there trying to make myself better. But if I have to take you out, Homicide, in that ring to prove my point, then so be it, brother. And then he walks out of the ring. And that's just put over that both men, of course, will be part of the Battle Riot. As this gets a 54. Decent promo from the future MVP, I guess. And then you have a backstage segment where we got Michael Shane, Gerard Clark, along with Kaylee Madison, which gets a 56, as they put over the fact, they are not worried about the Stand Bulldogs. Look, we defeated, some would call the greatest tag team in Major League Wrestling history. And Carino, substance, wait, no. That's not true. But, that after a little gap, as we were NWA Tag Team Champions. You saw us all over the world defending those titles. So if you think the human highlight reel and the nephew of the greatest wrestler in history, as Michael Shane puts himself, is worried about 2 Canadians just because their cousin, friend, I don't know what that Hart family's all screwed up. That we know that Hart family tree is a straight line, but regardless, we're not worried about that because we're the featured attraction of tag team wrestling. We're the featured attraction of pro wrestling. And after Battle Riot, the story won't be who wins the Battle Riot. The story will be you're still your MLW Global Crown Tag Team Champions, the featured attraction. 56, good promo. Michael Shane earned all that money I paid him to stay exclusive. Then we have in a poor match, which is unfortunate for these guys. In a poor match, Dynamic Daisies of Reeves, veteran Ray Gordy defeated Dragon Kid, Genki Horiguchi, and M-Dog 20 in 6:59 when Reeves pins Dragon Kid with a charging lariat. So this gets a 41. So just a straight up squash here. Dragon Kid, Genki, and M-Dog 20 all do their high flying to stay even with veteran Ray Gordy, but eventually Reeves gets in, throws him aside, and when Reeves has Dragon Kid all by himself, he drills him with the charging lariat, and that's it for that. As the Dime Daisies get another big win, as the entries put over, they will all be in the Battle Riot, and that'll be impressive. That would be an impressive team if they can all be in the ring at the same time, and a very hard trio to get out. As Ray Gordy gets a 54 here, Vetter gets a 45, Reeves gets a 25, M-Dog 20 gets a 35, Genki Horiguchi gets a 30, and Dragon Kid gets a 43. Then post-match, of course, Dynamic Daisies do their in-ring stuff, as they start off by pointing out, yes, it's true. All 3 of us will be in the Battle Riot. And that means, let's be honest here, the rest of you got no chance, because we're an elite unit. We're a unit that's together, that fights for one thing. One of us to be the man standing at the end. Because, we got no leaders, because bands don't have leaders. Bands that have leaders and hangers on, well, they end up breaking apart, and you're not going to break apart down in days. Because whether it's gold records or gold belts, you're going to be stuck with us being successful, whether you moronic fans here in this arena who probably think Shania Twain is great. Boo. Or Faith Hill is fantastic. Boo. Or think Keith Urban is some great guy. Boo. Ever Keith Urban be around 2006? I don't know. I threw it out there. Because no, we're Diamond Daisies. We're the greatest group in both professional wrestling and music, and you can't stop us any way you want. Nikki also steps and says, "Look, I saw last week that despite me calling for it, those two other women got the first women's match in MLW history. Well, guess what? I'm calling right now. At Battle Riot, I'm issuing an open challenge to any woman in the business who wants to take me on that ring, and I'll show them that I deserve to be at the top of the new MLW Women's Division." More booze for that, as this gets a 38 and puts over everybody's little spot. So, another fun little match added. Then we have a sort of like a long, low-key Morishima video package. Because again, like the whole idea has been like these guys have been training. They hate each other. They're both arch competitors, and they both want to be the best in the world. We probably steal some sort of popular music of the time. This gets a 57 overall, and the whole storyline is basically, the whole we're on videos. Loki's been one of the most successful wrestlers on the planet, but Morishima has just been a bulldozer. Morishima didn't really even have to cheat to beat Loki, and isn't he's with the Extreme Horsemen, but he's just that Japanese bulldozer is the right word. And did we get some words from Jay Dane says I manage some of the best in the world, but I've never seen the raw talent that I've seen with Morishima. And if Loki thinks just because he can do some kicks and is a warrior, he can defeat this man, well, I'm not supposed to say this, but good luck to him, because I'm not seeing any way he stops Morishima. Loki steps in at the end with his mic, people give me no chance, because I'm so much more than them. Well, David versus Goliath is fine with me, because I am a warrior, and I will never back down. And then there's just more, video of Morishima just wrecking fools. And as the announcers put over, as this basic video puts over, it's Morishima Loki one more time for the MLW Heavyweight Championship at Battle Riot. Gets a 57, and it's time for our main event. Which, Annie Bouth had great wrestling and good heat, which gets a 66 overall. Junior Fatu, Sabu, Sanjay Dutt, and the Amazing Red. Draw with Roderick Strong, Simon Diamond, just incredible, and ECMO in 1728, following a double count. Because, of course, it does. Because, it's the last show before a big show with a Battle Royal as part of it. What do you think is going to happen? Sanjay Dutt gets his high flying spots, Strong and Hero. Oops, I put Strong. I did not put Hero in this match. Oops, my bad. Well, okay, oh well. Sabu gets his spots in on Strong. Diamond and Credible, of course, go after each other. Credible gets out similar Kane on Sabu, but Fatu makes a save. ECMO and Fatu brawl a lot. Amazing Red hits a big, probably, Cradle Pile, flipping Cradle Pile. Hits his Amazing Red moves on Roderick Strong. ECMO throws Amazing Red around, and eventually everything just collapses as everybody just goes outside, and the absolute just chaos is on. So Amazing Red gets a 67, Sanjay Dutt gets a 59, Sabu gets a 54, Junior Fatu gets a 52, ECMO gets a 63, Just Incredible gets a 47, Simon Diamond gets a 56, and Roderick Strong gets a 60. Fun times, fun times. And then post-match, the brawl just continues as it gets a 56, as everybody who's also involved in the match continues to brawl, but eventually, of course, Chris Hero comes out and starts brawling with Roderick Strong. That brings out Homicide, who Delirious, who starts going after people. Then we got Ezekiel coming in and throw kicks, coming on Sabu and Simon Diamond, but then Homicide comes after him, and things just continue to break down as the crowd pops and Steve Corino says, then basically stresses, this is absolute chaos, and Kevin Kelly responds, no, Steve, this is a Battle Riot. So 56 to end the show. And overall, we are looking at a 53. So, not our best show, but again, overness of Mid-Atlantic region. And, I sort of set things up. Because, that main event actually was pretty solid, especially for a TV show that's sort of a random 8-man. And I didn't have like a lot of big matches because I didn't want like somebody randomly injured. That's also the main reason why I didn't have Loki Morishima in more matches leading up to this, is because honestly, with this series, I do not have the best luck with injuries. So there you go. But let's finish things up, see if there's any random email, and then we'll go ahead and figure out. Then we'll go ahead and go over storylines and such, and then we'll go to the actual big show. Gotta love MLW doing MLW things. Gotta love TEW. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Also, at some point, I should probably figure out the where TV should actually be on for folks, but I'm not that worried about it. So, oh, let's see here. Negotiate. Wait, Verno? Right. Okay. Oh, okay. Guess he turned him down. That's interesting. Chris Hero. I mean, it's Ryback in like 2006. Of course, he can't sell anything. So yeah, let's look at storylines real quick. So storyline wise, we got Battle Respect at a 53, Best in the World at a 66. We have yeah, okay, oh right, I need to probably redo this. Okay. We got Forever Battling at a 64. We got Junior Heavyweight Battle at a 43. We got Sydal Nigel at a 59, and the tag title feud at a 51. Probably could have improved that a little bit. So as far as our creative, just so you guys can remember this, Nigel, Sydal, Loki, Diamond Karina, which is all interesting, especially, yeah. Who's hot is ECMO, Ray Gordy, Homicide, Nigel McGuinness of Verno, sort of expect. Who's not, it's just Cyber Incredible, who also you sort of expect, because I have been using them as Dropper to the Stars. So yeah. Look at our pre-booking. We got Morishima versus Loki for the MLW Heavyweight Championship. We got Nigel McGuinness versus Matt Sydal for the number 1 contendership. We got the Stampede Bulldog versus Feature Attraction for the MLW Tag Team Championships. A Junior Crown. What? God, I always forget what the titles are called. Yeah, the Global Tag Team Crown. Then we got the Battle Riot, which includes Austin Aries, Verno, Chris Hero, ECMO, Ezekiel, Homicide, Junior Fatu, Just Incredible, Kushida, Reeves, Roderick Strong, Sabu, Simon Diamond, Sanjay Dutt, The Amazing Red, Trevor Rhodes, Waller Jr., and more. So yeah, and of course Delirious and lots of other fun people. And of course we also have Nikki Roxx throwing out an open challenge for a women's match, and we've got also your friends in mind, Maximo is getting a big tag team challenge against a mystery team who Melina has made you deal with. So fun time for that. But that's it for now. Next show will be that Battle Riot, which I have renamed, but that's at that point. But yeah, pretty big show, and I think this, decent little run up, especially, hopefully set up all the feuds in case you guys forgot about anything. But should be back on a more normal schedule. But that's it for now. Again, if you're interested, I'll have the link to the Patreon down below in the description. Again, I'll be continuing these series no matter what. But if you want to throw out in something additional for me, you can throw in $1. You'll get my thanks, and of course, name in the video description, up to early access to videos. Add your own character to one of my series and other fun stuff. Just follow the link to the Patreon, look it over if you want. But anyway, aside from that, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, comment below and what you're enjoying or not enjoying, and of course, subscribe to this channel for lots of other TEW 2020 content, including this series, my WWE 2013 series heading towards Money in the Bank, which will have a main event of Cena versus Ziggler versus Orton, where Orton can win either title, and Cena and Ziggler, of course, are just fighting to defend their titles, 2 big Money in the Bank matches, and Sheamus versus Barrett for the IC title. And then I've got my WCW 1994 series, which just exited Slamboree and is headed towards, Rick Rude as a unified heavyweight champion. Bret Hart and Ric Flair having a 30-minute disappointing draw. So what would I do from there? And other fun stuff. And of course, my long-running WCW 2001 series, now 2004, heading towards Slamboree 2004, with Booker T versus Jeff Hardy for the WCW title. Morningstar versus Vampiro as the Deadpool explodes. Goldberg versus Mike Awesome in a cage heat match, and lots of other fun stuff. But that's it for now. So check later, and adios. Have a good one.